to order. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do a roll call. Mr. Brewster.
Here.
Mr. Penrod.
Here.
Mr. Orr.
Here.
Ms. Tobias.
Here.
Mr. Raymer.
Here.
Esposito is here and Hensley is absent. Any additions or deletions?
No additions or deletions.
Hearing of patrons. Hearing none, we'll move on to presentations and recognitions.
Well, I verified that my presentation person was going to be here. No? All right, well, I'm still going to read about it because I'm going to make sure I present this to her. But
You want to hold that one and then if she shows up?
yeah, we can come
let's
back.
do that.
Yeah, let's do that in case she shows up.
Okay. So then we'll move on to the financial report.
Good evening. I'll do my best Dr. Stevens tonight. So the report that y'all have seen, sorry, I can't just stand there, that you see every single month. We always put all of our projected expenditures right here. We break it out by salaries, benefits, claims, and on the education fund, how much we're going to transfer to operations. So that gives you a nice, lovely projection number that we're trying to stick within. Of course, it's just a projection, so we never really know what's going to happen. And then our actual numbers for those salaries, benefits, claims, and transfers. We projected 1.3. We spent 1.1, which left a positive variance of $194,000. Yay, not bad for the first month of the year. We'll check again and again in December. Revenue is a strange thing in the field of education. So again, we projected $936,000 and we received $957,000, so a positive variance, which keeps all of our bar graph nice and happy and upwards. And then the monthly balance, that is the cash balance. So when Dr. Stevens created the spreadsheet, the cash flow spreadsheet that we follow, he had projected we'd be about 1.679 million, and we have 1.894 in education. So go us. Okay. Operations. Also, again, January, so that's good. Our projections, we break it down, salaries, benefits, claims. So 490,000 was projected. We spent 472,000 with a positive variance of 17,000. Our projected income and our actual income, it's a little skewed because we took that tax anticipation warrant where they send us the money sooner rather than later. So we don't look like negative 300 and some thousand all throughout until we get our June draw. So that's why that looks so pretty. And we'll probably adjust our projected. We just hadn't gotten the money yet, so we left the projected where it was until we got the money. And now we'll clean that up a little bit. So the projected and the actual aren't such a big variance. And that's it. Like I say, January's
Good.
we're in it.
Good.
we're in it for now. So, any questions?
No.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Shelley. Next, I want to invite Hannah from Barnes and Thornburg to come up for our second 1028 hearing, which is going to sound a whole lot like our first 1028 hearing.
Good evening, everyone. Hannah Clendenning. So This is the second public hearing for the proposed bonds that the school corporation is considering issuing. This is just the very first step of the process, these two public hearings. And then after the close of this public hearing, we would ask the school corporation to approve a resolution that just preliminarily sets out all of the parameters for this proposed financing. So that would be a maximum of $10 million, 7%, things like that. Brock will go into those numbers a little bit more here in a second. The same information that was presented to you at the last meeting, nothing has changed. This would just be the formal adoption of the resolution, setting out those parameters. That $10 million currently, the plan is to do a smaller GO bond issue this year, but it does authorize the option for first mortgage bonds with a building corporation to use the remainder of those funds if that's how things shake out or what seems best for the school corporation at that point in time. Other than that, I mean, the tentative proposed timeline is to come back next month for another public hearing on the additional appropriation for the general obligation bonds, at which point the soonest we could then sell would be in April and then close on those in May. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any of the other questions, but keep this short and sweet for you guys tonight since we just did it last month. So, thanks.
Thank you, Hannah. And I'll invite Brock up from Baker Tilly.
Good evening. My name is Brock Boucher with Baker Tilly. It's good to be back here. Everything that I'll walk through this evening is the exact same content you saw in January, so I'll move through this as quickly or as slowly as you all prefer. I do want to mention that as statutorily required, we have provided additional handout with financial information for any taxpayer who may want that content. They are welcome to see the admin team and receive that. So for my purposes this evening, I'm going to walk you through again 3 things. Look at outstanding debt for Manchester schools as of today. Then we will walk through the financial parameters related to these proposed projects that you heard Ms. Clendenning mention. Then we'll wrap it up with estimated taxpayer impact related to the maximum parameters for these proposed projects. First things first, outstanding debt as of today for Manchester schools. This does not include any proposed projects. It's just actual outstanding debt as of today. 5 total securities. We are in budget year 2026. So the reason why Manchester can contemplate projects in 2026, if you're to issue bonds, you begin repaying in 2027. So utilize that opportunity as debt matures and falls off. We can fill it up and keep the tax rate relatively the same as where it has been historically. Again, more bonds maturing in 2028 and so forth, with the opportunity to fill that in with these proposed projects, looking multiple years ahead. This next slide, the same information, just for those who like to see the numbers opposed to the graph. I won't go into as much detail as prior slide, but again, showing the numbers behind the prior slide. General obligation capacity as of today. So in the state of Indiana, we have the constitutional limit, how much GO debt we have outstanding. It is a static number, meaning as you pay off debt and as your net assessed value increases, that number can increase. But as of today, we have about a $2.04 million GO capacity. And the statutory formula is you take your net assessed value, divide by 3, then multiply by 2%. So Manchester Schools' total GO capacity for 2026 would be about $4.09 million. Now, once we subtract out what GO debt we have outstanding, as of today, about $2.055 million. As of today, our GO limit is about $2.04 million. But as I stated, as net assessed value presumably increases in the coming years, so that top line number would increase, and as you pay off GO debt, that number can increase year by year. But that is the formula, how the state of Indiana calculates general obligation capacity. So related back to the point Ms. Clendenning made, we are setting maximum parameters for this second hearing. That's the only stated purpose for tonight. We are setting a total maximum borrowing related to these projects being contemplated at $10 million. To give flexibility, and flexibility only, in the state of Indiana, the maximum repayment term for any individual bond is 20 years. This does not mean we're planning to repay bonds with 20 years. It just gives us the flexibility in case something unforeseen occurs or new legislation that we can respond to the market at the time of the sale. Just gives us flexibility, pardon me, but not the requirement to pay over 20 years. So with these broad assumptions, total interest expense, as you heard Ms. Clendenning say, we're setting a maximum interest rate of 7%. We do not anticipate when we sell bonds that we will be paying 7%, at least not on today's market. We're just setting that as our maximum interest rate. So assuming a maximum interest rate of 7%, assuming $8.7 million of total interest paid, so the maximum debt service would be 18.7. Maximum annual debt service lease rental payments, we're setting a maximum payment for 1 year at $2.5 million. Again, that's to give us some flexibility going forward. We're not stating that we will hit that payment. Again, setting that maximum target to give us flexibility. Do you want to target here on this next row for the estimated increase to the 2025 debt service tax rate is essentially flat to what taxpayers were paying with their pay 2025 taxes. Now you saw that there was a drop from 2025 to 2026 debt. So to take us back up to where we were in 2027 beyond, that would be an 11-cent increase compared to what we're anticipating taxpayers will be paying in 2026. So a short reprieve, or what we refer to as a short honeymoon, to get us back to that 2025 level. I'll show you that in a little more detail here in just a moment. Additional ratios that we are required to show, part of the preliminary determination hearing, outstanding debt of the school corporation as a ratio of net assessed value is 5.9%. Typically, we see that in these type of hearings somewhere in the 8 to 12% target range, so we're typically lower than what we see in other hearings we have across the state. The last row represents the projected maximum annual payment, $2.5 million, as a ratio of net assessed value, about 0.5%. We typically see that percentage being somewhere from 2 to 5% statewide when we have these hearings. So both the last two ratios lower than what we typically see. So how it looks with the outstanding debt from the first chart is the green. So assuming that we break the proposed $10 million in maximum borrowing into multiple issuances, you can see we're assuming 5 issuances of $2 million paid back each over 2 years. So we're getting in and out of the market to minimize that interest cost. But with this assumption, we're setting the maximum rate. This doesn't mean this is exactly what it's going to look like in the future, but we're setting that maximum rate where the green is outstanding debt. The different color bars represents individual assumed $2 million issuances, with this being the assumed debt service tax rate year to year. Again, we'll do our best to minimize the interest expense since we're assuming 7% interest rates with these, and try to minimize that impact to taxpayers on an ongoing basis. So that's what it looks like based upon the maximum parameter. Most importantly for taxpayers, what it means to them. You heard me say compared to 2025, it's a 0.0003 cent tax increase. So that average home value in Manchester schools, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, is about $153,000. But as you have deductions applied for homestead credits, supplemental homestead credits, that taxable value on that average home value is about $61,000. So that impact compared to 2025 is essentially nil to that average taxpayer ends up being an estimated 2 cents per month or 18 cents per year. But compared to what we're assuming in 2026, that average taxpayer home value would be an increase of about $5, almost $6, or $68 per year. So you can see the whole level and ratio or amounts of assumed home values, then that net assessed value or that taxable value once we apply the assumed deductions as found in Senate Enrolled Act 1 that was approved last year, with additional deductions coming for next year's taxes. For those individuals who own non-residential, so rental property and long-term care, you can see what the assumed impact is. So for each $100,000 of assessed value would be an impact of about 26 cents per year compared to 2025, or about 98 cents per year compared to what we're assuming in 2026. Then for commercial and industrial property, 30 cents per year compared to 2025, but $111 compared to what we're assuming in 2026. And I'll bring it up the rear with 1 acre of ag land. For each acre, about a penny more per year on an annual basis compared to 2025. $2.20 per acre compared to what we're assuming in 2026. With that, welcome any questions. Thank you very much.
Got one.
Yeah.
When these bonds are issued, does the interest rate stay consistent throughout the life of that bond, or is there an adjustable rate?
Yeah, no adjustable rates allowed within the state of Indiana for school
Okay.
bonds. So at the time when we sell, it would be a fixed percentage, so no changing, so no variable cost to the school district.
Any guesstimates on where these rates are going?
Yeah, good question. So the prevailing thought right now is there will be 2, maybe 3 rate cuts in 2026. Now, I think the higher probability for a rate cut is targeted probably toward May and or June. There may be one more for the last half of the year. So depending upon how we can time this when we sell, from an issuer standpoint, hopefully rates will be as low as we can get it. But the intent is that we'll sell these bonds competitively, so all banks will have the opportunity to bid on that. And the goal is to get the lowest interest cost as we can, whatever the market's bearing.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Thank you. So we need to entertain a motion to approve the preliminary hearing, which really just sets, saying we've been presented the material, this is our second 1028 hearing, then that allows us to move forward. We're not issuing bonds. That comes at a later other public meeting, but just that we're moving beyond the 1028 hearing and the preliminary findings that have been presented to us by Baker Tilly and Barnes and Thornburg. So we need a motion to approve that preliminary
Motion.
determination.
Casey, we have a second. Mr. Orr's nodding. Any more discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Say aye. 6-0.
Thank you. Very well done.
Yeah, very good.
Could
Thank
I
you both.
could I receive a hard copy of that presentation, or do you have that?
And it might be, I can get one for you. I think it might be in your board packet also.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Thank you both. Safe travels.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you. All right, so we're on to consent items.
No.
Actually,
Oh,
no,
no.
4.3.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. 4.3, acceptance of report identifying outstanding checks to be expunged from our computer system.
So this is new, a new motion that we need to make. So any check that remains in our accounting system longer than 2 years, becomes really a void
Right.
check, or, so, but this is, the resolution just allows us to remove those from our system, from our accounting system. Correct?
And this is standard this is
Yeah, it's standard
standard
practice.
practice, yes.
These are checks we issued.
Checks that we issued that have not
Nope.
been,
It's
for
like-
whatever reason, have not been cashed. So, and again, 2 years is the limit. Those checks become void.
Sure.
It just clears these amounts out of our accounting system.
Where do we see this throughout our, how do we account for this? Like, what bucket does this fall in?
If you look at the list, I mean, these checks go back to 2018, some of them. 2020, we have some in 23, November of 23, and since we're in 26, that's beyond the 2-year. So they would be on our payment schedule that we, did in those months accordingly. But they're now being voided out because they're no longer good. They're showing as an outstanding check that an individual hasn't cashed. Am I correct, Shelley?
And we have to, according to the State Board of Accounts, put that money back into the operations account.
Okay,
So we take whatever, because it is an
Sure.
outstanding unreconciled item. It came out of a fund, could have been a grant, could have been operations, could have been education. So now that we want to clear those, we'll put it back in the operations fund and we'll clear them in the accounting system. And that's how we wipe them out.
okay.
So why have we left this go so long? If you have checks, from
Because
2018?
that's the State Board of Accounts, they say we have to let it go for 2 years before the.
Yeah, but that's 7, 8 years.
That's a good question.
Yeah, look, it could be because of the number. There's only 2 in 18 and 1 in 19, so
Yeah.
maybe just because it's such a small amount.
But this would drive an accountant crazy,
Yeah.
right? It would,
I'll find out, Mr. Orr, and let you know.
yeah.
Be glad to report that back. So need a motion to accept the report identifying outstanding checks.
Mr. Raymer first, Mr.
Yep.
Penrod second. Any other comments, questions?
The school system doesn't make any attempt to reach out to these individuals. It's on their responsibility. I mean, not that I think we should. I just was curious.
I do believe that Darla made an attempt to get a hold of some.
Okay.
So-
Okay.
Just keep it.
And moving forward, yes. I just saw it last month, but.
Yeah. I think one attempt would be plenty. I mean, they have a responsibility too, so.
Call the question.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? 6-0. All right. Moving to consent items.
So you have claims and minutes listed, resignations and retirements. Paige Smith, Manchester Elementary School 1-to-1 paraprofessional. Jack Vineyard, junior high golf coach. Christina Marin, DLI Spanish teacher at the end of the year. Victor Perez, DLI Spanish teacher at the end of the year. J.D. Longnecker, he was a paraprofessional and assistant cross-country coach and head middle school track coach. And Kathy Metzger Cook, those are all either retirements or they're all resignations. You want to do those all in one? You want me to go through?
I think
Okay.
we can do them all in
Okay.
one. Yeah.
There are no grants to report. Donations. Someone would like to read those?
I think it's Brian's turn.
Yeah, I got them. All donations tonight are to the Manchester Junior Senior High School. We have $100 to the FFA program from Keystone Charitable Foundation, $200 to the APES Physics Trip West from Stephen and Patricia Brubaker, $500 to the FFA program from an anonymous donor, $100 to the AP Bio Florida trip from Justin Heater, $300 to the AP Bio Florida trip from an anonymous donor. $1,500 to the AP Bio Florida trip from an anonymous donor. $6,000 to the safety program from the treasurer of the Wabash County. $1,000 to the AP Bio Florida trip from the Thomas Earl Education Endowment facilitated by the Community Foundation of Wabash County. $5,000 to the band and choir programs facilitated by the Community Foundation of Wabash County from an anonymous donor. $5,000 to the APES Physics Trip West facilitated by the Community Foundation of Wabash County from an anonymous donor. And $15,000 to the art program facilitated by the Community Foundation of Wabash County from an anonymous donor, totaling $34,700. Thank you very, very much.
There are no facility rentals, so that would be all the consent items.
Motion to
Mr.
approve the
Penrod?
consent items.
Mr. Bias? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
6-0. On to employment.
The recommendations for employment, we have several. Karen Jimenez, high school girls head volleyball coach at the high school. M.A. Hire is school nurse covering a maternity leave. She's doing up to 20 hours per week. Becky Nicodemus at Manchester Intermediate, a half of the robotics assistant stipend. Melissa Eddy, MIS, half robotics lead. Michaela Monroe, MIS, half robotics lead. Becky Nicodemus, fall running club. Robin Messer, MIS, robotics assistant. Noah Kane, Manchester Junior Senior High School junior high golf coach. Natalie Osborne, junior high golf assistant coach. Renee Penrod at MES, temporary ECA treasurer. And Rachel Curtin at MES, school nurse maternity covering maternity leave.
Take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Tobias?
Second.
Reese? Mr. Fearstows? Questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
6-0.
Next, approving Andrea Espacet, Breakfast Club morning monitoring at MIS.
Breakfast club or dinner?
Make a motion.
Got a first?
Second.
Mr. Raymer and then Mr. Penrod. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
501. I'll abstain. Heartland update.
Just very briefly, Heartland has submitted a letter of intent to apply for a career readiness grant to the Don Wood Foundation, along with other entities in the county, including Manchester Community Schools, being facilitated by the Community Foundation of Wabash County. I heard Don Woods speak twice a long time ago, and once I visited with him a little bit, and Don would be very pleased at this type of activity and the use of his funds. So hopefully lots of good things in relation to that coming down the line. So very exciting.
What's the grant for?
Primarily planning, but the idea is better career counseling outcomes initially.
Nice.
But
Yeah,
each entity may have a little different slant.
Yeah, the focus is on advanced manufacturing, entrepreneurship, and leadership. The initial grant's a planning grant, and then from the planning grant, obviously, you plan out your next step approach to the potential $1 million grant. So, but the focus is career and tech ed, entrepreneurship, leadership, advanced manufacturing.
Adam, legislative.
There's stuff happening down there, but to me, when I start looking at the bills, it's not as interesting as last year, I guess. They're kind of in all different cases and nothing like too earth-shattering. The bill that I brought up last time, House Bill 1137 with food and beverage on school property, that's still moving through, so that deals with schools that participate in federal funded or assisted meal programs may not serve or allow a third-party vendor to serve or sell food that has certain ingredients. So it has a list of different ingredients that they don't want to allow. Also requires the school to post the meal menu on the website and ingredients on the website. So I don't know what we do currently. We may have a calendar, but I don't know if we have ingredients on there.
We send out, you know, what's for lunch, but
Yeah.
one of the big changes would be ingredients, nutritional value, et cetera.
So when the kids come home and say they love the meal, then right there is going to be the ingredients for the parents to make at home. So,
Broccoli,
yeah.
cauliflower, good stuff.
So that looks like it'll still keep moving. Senate Bill 78, wireless communication device policy. Looks like something will stick with that. There's some definition changes. I think we do a pretty good job, I think, with the policy right now, so there might be just some minor tweaks with that. And really there's like about 35 different bills that are kind of hanging on there, but as they drop off, language gets thrown onto another bill, and so that whole game of adding it back onto it. So I know we don't have much more than that, but I started reading through them and it was disinteresting me, so I figured I didn't want to bore you guys with it either, so.
Appreciate it.
All right.
And they literally can change from, I mean, I get bill trackers every day, emails from multiple sources, and they literally can change from a Monday to a Wednesday to a Friday. So, you know, we keep a pulse, the ISBA, Principal Association, Superintendent Association, the ISTA. Obviously, I'll keep a pulse on any education-related legislation. So we're just kind of waiting to see where some of the things start shaking out, where we feel like some of the things have a more definitive direction. As Mr. Penrod said, they often, if something falls off, it gets tacked on somewhere else. So it doesn't always die. It might just come back looking a little different.
They kind of have some catch-all bills where you see like 50 different things to add and change, and it's not really one item. And
They call them Education Matters.
Yes.
Education Matters bills,
Yeah.
and they may have 6, 7, 8 components within
Yeah,
that may or may not be related.
yeah.
So, thank you. Superintendent, don't forget.
Just a couple of things. Yep, just a couple of things. Monday, we have a professional development day. Probably a big part of that day in the morning, Steve Baker, who's former administrator, superintendent, principal, has been going around the state presenting on the new accountability model, which they've pushed back again. I think he's presenting the best material that he has, but he's going to be presenting to the entire staff. If you recall, I know we've talked about this a couple of meetings, going back to letter grades for the first time in 7 years in the state of Indiana. Currently saying, again, not finalized, but currently saying that they're going to issue a grade at the end of the 25-26 school year on a model that still has not been approved by State Board of Education. It was supposed to be approved in November, then December, then January. I don't think it's going to happen in February either. So I don't know. I don't know if they'll end up saying, well, because we didn't get this model rolled out in a timely manner, we'll make it the 26-7 school year. Remains to be seen, but they're still taking some public input. I think that was through mid-January, maybe, the public input. So, but he's coming to present what he does know to the staff so they can kind of start wrapping their mind around the new accountability model. It's really going to more of an individual model, where every kid's accomplishments, classes they take, tests they take, attendance, do they graduate on time, all count for something versus the collective, hey, your graduation rate is 98% or 99%. It's now more individualized, or 50% of your kids passed iLearn. Well, did Tommy Smith pass or did he not? Did he grow? So everything becomes much more individualized in the new model, which I think is good. I think it's important that we track every single kid. We want every single one to be successful. So that's Monday. I'm leaving actually tonight after this meeting, heading toward Nashville, Tennessee for the National Superintendent's Conference. There's a pretty good sized Indiana delegation going down, which is always good for our state. But it's 3.5 days of meeting with 6,000 to 7,000 other superintendents from around the United States, listening to topics of concern. AI is always a big topic right now. School accountability, finances. So really just a lot of seminars that you attend during that time. So I'm looking forward to that. We do have a swimmer that qualified for state finals, Sophia Cumberland, in the 100-yard freestyle. So prelims are Friday evening down in Indianapolis. So we're excited to see how she fares and proud of her accomplishments. As you guys know, we had a little bit of a snow event over several days, and temperatures and snow, and one that snuck up also and caught us off guard. I tried to put out on social media, and I think it was well received, just kind of the steps that we go through. I think it's good to review those every couple of years, so parents and new parents, just a reminder that we, Mr. Self and I, go out and drive the roads, and we're in communication. I'm in a weather group text with 7 other school corporations, and we communicate with the county highway department. We check advisories, we watch forecasts. Friday caught us off guard. We knew snow was coming. We didn't think it would be as hard and heavy as it came, and it was, but luckily we got everybody here. Did have one bus that slid off a wheel or two into the ditch, but was able to get out on their own. And by the end of the day, it was great. But unfortunately, we missed that one, and Mr. Self and I have talked, and we'll make sure we stay on top of those types of issues. Just like we could anticipate some fog with the temperature going up to into the 50s next week. And I'm going to be out, so I know Mr. Self and I will be communicating probably every morning that I'm down there, just talking about where we at weather-wise. Is any fog developing? The last thing I want to do, and I'll make sure that I go and present, but I want to make sure we get it on public record. So we're in the second year, the state of Indiana, of having sanctioned women's wrestling, girls wrestling, and we had our first ever sectional champion in Caitlin Leckrone this year. So what she's going to receive from me, and I'll read it, but is this poster has our logo, and I'll read, and it says, congratulations, Caitlin Leckrone, on your incredible achievement as Manchester Senior High's first girls wrestling individual sectional champion. Your hard work, dedication, and perseverance has truly paid off, marking a historic milestone for both you and the school on January 2nd, 2026. Your victory is an inspiration to your peers and the testament of the power of determination and passion. We're all immensely proud of you and look forward to watching your continued success in the future. Well done, Caitlin. And I put in the bracket with all the wrestlers that had to wrestle to get to the championship. What's great is she had a bye, and then she had a fall or a pin. If you're not familiar with wrestling terms, but a pin, what I would call a pin. Now they call them falls, in 2 minutes and 59 seconds. And then in her semifinal match, she had a fall at 4:46, so about just a little bit into the second period. And then she had a tech fall, which is when you beat somebody by a larger point spread. 21-5 was she scored 21 points to 5 points. Tech fall in 2 minutes and 56 seconds, which if you know anything about wrestling, scoring 21 points in 2 minutes and 56 seconds, That's impressive. I'm so proud of her. Great for our school. It's awesome to celebrate our first girls sectional wrestling champion. I contacted Tyson yesterday. She said she was going to be here, so I will make sure that we go over and get that taken care of and find some way to embarrass her in front of her peers and present it to her, but just give her a little memento to hang on her wall. Other than that, we're, mid-February, we're kind of in the long stretch right now. I was talking to some of you beforehand, a lot of illness going around right now. We thought maybe it was waning off, but it seems to still kind of be pulsing its ugly head. A lot of kids out. Hoping it starts to get better. I don't know if the warm up next week will help or not, because it'll probably be followed by a cold front again. But that's where we're at. I did get an update from Mr. Stevens. I hope he's watching. You want to know how tonight goes, but I hope he's watching. I told him that because he's watching from Hawaii or in Hawaii and not here in the cold weather in Indiana, he texted me right when the meeting started and said that his half of the island's without power, and my response was, "It serves you right." So they've had a lot of heavy rain and wind while they're there. They actually shut school one day. He texted me and said the governor of Hawaii came on and said they closed school because of excessive rain and high winds. But anyway, had to get that. I hope you're listening, Dr. Stevens. And, Shelley's a hard act to follow when you come back, just so you know. That's my report tonight.
All right, school board comments.